everyone, it's Justine, and today we're going to be making a card or doing a card tutorial on tone-on-tone stamping, background stamping, and bulk cards all in one. In order to complete this project, you're going to need some colors of cardstock, or one color of cardstock as your card base, and a color that is very similar, if not the same. So if you have matching cardstock and stamp, that would be ideal. If not, try and match up a cardstock with an ink color that you already have. It could be slightly darker, that wouldn't be a big deal, but just as long as it's going to contrast against the cardstock. So to get started, I am just going to do a little bit of die cutting using my Big Shot. I'm cutting out a panel in the same color I'm going to be making my card bases. So if you want to do 3 cards of all the same color, then you're just going to cut out as many panels as you're going to make cards. I'm using the largest die in the set, and it's just going to create a nice little stitching around the edge. So I'm using 3 colors to make this, but again, you can just use one color of cardstock. So I'm going to be using this sort of minty green, light pink, and light purple, and I am going to be stamping using the Swinging Fairies stamp from So Susie Stamps. It's still in stock, so get it right away if you can. They do tend to sell out quickly if I've made a video on them. So go ahead and I'll link to them below in the video description or my blog. So I am using So Susie ink bites, and I'm going to be stamping in Thistle Thicket, and that is a stamp from the Highland Spring ink bite set. So the mini inks come in packages of 6, and that's from the Highland set. So I'm just going to ink up this stamp really well. It's the first time I'm using this stamp, so I've got to be careful. And I'm going to stamp directly onto the cardstock. Now I'm going to twist and turn my stamp so that it fits nicely on the background. And this is a really easy way to create a background with a stamp that would be a very much cheaper alternative to buying a large background stamp. It is a little bit of extra work, but if you don't own background stamps or you want to create something a little bit different, this is something that you can do with pretty much any stamp. So I'm just going to clean off my area, and I am going to continue stamping this stamp here onto the other backgrounds as well. I'm going to grab my pink here, or my mint rather, and I am going to go just make sure that all that ink is off my stamp. And I am going to be stamping in Mermaid Mist. Now this ink bite here is part of the Coastal Breeze ink set, as well as the next color that I'm using is also part of the Coastal Breeze ink bite set, and that's in Soft Sorbet. And I'm going to just be stamping this along the background in the exact same fashion as I did the first one. I'm going to speed you up even a little bit more than it already is right now, just to save some time. I just wanted to let you know that in the next week I should have a video up featuring these inks, a little bit of a product review. I'm having so much fun just playing with them, and I really wanted to make sure that I played with them quite a bit before I did a review on them, so that I could give a really honest opinion and make my recommendations if need be. So I'm just going to go along now and stamp in the Soft Sorbet color. This is a really pretty color, I really like it, and I'm stamping onto this pink. Now as you notice, my inks do not entirely match the card when you put the ink and the cardstock side by side, but they work actually really well together. They look like they were actually meant to be stamped on each other. So now I have my 3 backgrounds, or my card panels, I would suggest calling them. And I'm just going to run through my die cutting machine those same 3 colors, and I am going to cut out this little tag die. It's a stitch tag from My Favorite Things, because this is where my sentiment is going on to, and I wanted to continue that stitched look that I have on the panels along with the sentiments. So I'm just using an embossing bag at the moment to get rid of any static so that nothing sticks to the tags themselves. And then I am going to run these, or I'm going to stamp the Sending You Birthday Wishes stamp from So Susie Stamps. It's always a useful sentiment to have in your collection, along with Happy Birthday for birthday cards. And I'm going to ink these up using Versamark ink and stamp all 3 of them. So if you notice, I developed sort of a product line when I do bulk videos. So I cut out all the card panels, stamped all the card panels, cut out all of the tags, stamped the tags, embossed the tags. I do it all at once. I don't make all the cards individually because that would take far too long, and this saves a lot of time. So when you're making a card, always think about maybe if you would do it in a bulk card, because you have all the supplies out already. Why not create 2, 3, 4, 10 of these cards and have a little bit of a stash full of them? So I'm just using some white embossing powder from Ranger. This is the ultra fine embossing powder, one of my favorites. And I've been told before that my lighting doesn't work well with white, so I turned off my light here. So sorry for the color contrast between there and before, but you're able to see the embossing actually changing. And then I'm just going to put my actual cards together. So I have my card bases. They're a They're going to be 11 by 4¼ inches, folded at 5½, standard size card, folded at the top. So I'm just folding all of my card bases now. I'm going to put my card panels on each of these based on their coordinating color. You could also skip the fact that you could stamp directly on the card bases instead of making these panels, but I do think it adds a really nice touch having that border around it rather than stamping directly on the card base. And it also leaves room for mistakes. If you make a mistake, it's less of something to throw away. So I'm just gluing all 3 of these down. I'm going to add the sentiments and then call it a day. So you can see here my sort of bulk process in making these cards. I hope you enjoyed these cards, the colors, the techniques learned today. I'm just going to put these little tags onto the cards themselves, and I am actually going straight to the edge. I'm not stopping at my card panel edge when attaching these. I'm going straight to the edge of the card base just to add a little bit more interest. If you would like to see more photos and details about this card, head on over to my blog. It's listed in the video description below, as well as the product list if you're interested in any of the products used in this video. One final look at all 3 of the cards here. And again, you could have made them all the same color or continued on with all the different colors. I was just using up my scraps that I had. All the supplies used are listed below in the video description or on my blog. You can access my blog by clicking here at the top of the video. Over on the right, you can subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button, or you can click on the moving video to check out my envelope series that I started last week. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and be sure to check me out over at So Susie Today. Thanks!